Welcome to the Cruise Retreat podcast. My name is Rita M. Perez, and I'm a triple certified travel advisor. But more importantly, I coordinate all the logistics to bring your online community offline through world travel. If you've been yearning to put together a group trip, but overwhelmed with all the details that come with planning, I and this podcast are here to help. Ready to transform lives on the open waters of the world? Let's get started. All right, everyone. Hello and welcome back. This is going to be a different sort of conversation that we're having today about the Nile River, because I'm not really talking too much about retreatings and education. Like, a Nile River sailing really is best to increase camaraderie and community between those that are near to you. So if this is like an executive leadership team and you need to do some bonding together, or if you are just with other business owners and you just need a vacation away and want to get together but explore the world, something as fun and as exotic and historic as a Nile River sailing is going to be really a perfect place to get away. And one of the reasons that I bring this up, because I knew that there were going to be Nile River sailings, I think about 3 years ago. Actually, I think 2020 is when they were supposed to be debuting with my favorite river cruise line, which you know is Ama Waterways. They were going to be debuting a new ship called Amadalia, and I believe sailings were supposed to start fall of 2020, and we all know how that goes. So sailings didn't really happen until late last year / early this year. But I bring up this topic of Nile River sailing, not only because it's something that has so intrigued me and I love it, and it's not just the Nile River that you can sail. There's so much areas of historical significance that you can add on to this, including visiting Jordan. There was a movie that recently came out called Death on the Nile, and I had recently seen it, and I recently saw Death on the Nile because I was a big fan of the first Poirot movie that I had seen, which was Murder on the Orient Express. Loved that. And so a friend was going to be having some major surgery, so we decided to have just a girls' day before she had major surgery, and that's the movie that we decided to watch. And, if we're talking about movie-wise, I didn't like it as much as Murder on the Orient Express. I thought it was a little bit too predictable compared to it's just so extreme, because Murder on the Orient Express I thought was when you caught the ending, you're like, how the flip did that happen? So I think they were trying to find a middle, but they went to two extremes. Anyways, this is not about movies. When I watch them sailing on the Nile, because they do take a river cruise on the Nile in the movie, I was like, oh, this is what it's really like. And while the ship, of course, is not going to be the same ship, it is still a high-end luxury ship. They visited Abu Simbel, which is just one of those magnificent places that I have been really, really wanting to visit. It's a very historic, just if you watch the movie, it's right along. And that's why I was like, how accurate is this, or how much of this is movie magic? Because I didn't think Abu Simbel was right on the river as how they portray it in the movie, so I need to look into that a little bit. But you just see the big statues of the pharaohs outside of the temple, and then you go in, and it is just beautifully illuminated, everything that they've been able to uncover throughout the years. So a Nile River sailing really is a little bit about land adventure and then sailing down the Nile and being able to experience this Egyptian culture. So I have the itinerary right next to me because I want to go through a little bit of it to just let you know what could be possible on a Nile River sailing. So we are really deep diving. And again, if you just want to join in on this itinerary and get away This is perfect for that. But I feel like this is also a really great group itinerary that if you wanted me to put a group together for you and like no teaching, no learning or anything, really just camaraderie, this one is going to be great for that. So the itinerary is actually a 7-night cruise. So it's 10 nights total. 7-night cruise with 3 nights in Cairo pre-cruise. Wait, there's a lot of different options here because you can also do a post night in Cairo. So it's really 11 nights is what it is. Yes, 11 nights. So on day 1, you check in to your hotel, which this is a luxury trip. So this is not going to be like, you're not going to be going to a Motel 6 or a Holiday Inn. You are going to be going to a high-end resort, which I don't know what the it's not telling me what the options are, but I can go exploring a little bit more too. This is just an overall of what the experiences are like. So day 2, when you are in Cairo, you can head over to an Egyptian museum and visit King Tut's treasures, visit the Alabaster Mosque. You can lunch at Studio, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong. You can lunch at a restaurant and at a park. And then there's an evening welcome reception with tapas and drinks. Now, this Egyptian museum does hold a unique collection of pharaonic, I didn't even know that was a word, pharaonic art, including priceless treasures of King Tut, King Tutankhamun, the Boy King. What else? You get to go to... And just the views are so magnificent. And I say that so when I'm thinking about like a European river cruise, there's like the greenish water as you're sailing by, and then on the backdrop you have like greens and grasses and trees and bushes and shrubberies or industrial. And then when you get to the Nile, you have like the bluish green water, and then the backdrop, I just imagine it's just like sand and pyramids and sphinxes and it's just like such a beautiful backdrop that is obviously very different because we're in a different setting, and just so historical because the Egyptians were one of the ancient civilizations that so much came up out of. Like the first thing I think about is paper, how it came from papyrus, and how an invention that came back from then is something that we still use today. So day 3, that's what you're doing, the Egyptian museum, and that's the really nice thing that I like about On the Waterways is that they give you some options. So maybe you don't want to go to the museum, maybe you'd rather go to the mosque. And then at the end, everybody can join back together and go to the amazing reception that they have in Old Cairo. Day 3, Pyramids of Ancient Memphis. You get to see the statue of Ramses II, Alabaster Sphinx, the necropolis of Saqqara. It is the site of famous step pyramid of King Zoser, the oldest pyramid on Earth. Like I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about it. You'll then get to go to the Great Sphinx and the iconic Giza complex and see the pyramids of Giza. From then, so we're going on day 4. From there, so you've spent 3 nights in Cairo. Now it's time to get onto your, well, not river cruise yet. Wait, are we boarding the river cruise yet? Yes, now it's time to get onto the river. So you have to, from Cairo, you're heading over to Luxor. You're going to be visiting the Luxor temple and 2 astonishing temples, the Karnak and the Luxor. And then you are welcome to board the beautiful Amadalia for your Nile River cruise. After your visit, you get to experience some folkloric belly dancing on board the Amadalia. And this is one of the things that I love about river cruising is that they bring the culture that you are sailing through right there onto your ship. The next day, day 5, while you are in Luxor, now this is one that I'm really excited about. It is being able to visit the tomb of Queen Nefertari in the Valley of the Kings and Queens. So let me see what it says. The spectacular rock-cut tombs located on the west bank of Luxor include that of the enigmatic King Tutankhamun, whose mummified remains are still here on display. After, go to see the Temple of Hatshepsut. Now, I'm sorry if I'm doing mispronunciations. One of Egypt's most successful pharaohs and its first female ruler. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I was gonna say, great way to come off of International Women's Month. And then you get to go to the Valley of the Queens, which has mummified remains of more than 30 queens and princesses, including Nefertari. You also get to have some close-up views of some of the statues of pharaohs, and then come back on and have a welcome cocktail with the captain. On day 6, you're in Edfu, so you started heading down the river. Today's visit is about the Temple of Horus, the falcon-headed god, and some UNESCO World Heritage sites, and also see a little bit of what it looked like in the Greco-Roman period. Afterwards, you're going to relax back on board the ship and you're heading to Aswan. Aswan is, and I've done a couple posts of this maybe a year or two, probably 2 years ago. So there's some colorful photos of Aswan because you get to visit a Nubian village. There's also a temple. And I think this is new to the itinerary, a felucca ride around Elephantine Island. So you'll board a motorboat and you'll cruise around the Nubian village of Hessa. You'll meet some of the people who will welcome you to the village and savor a delicious lunch. Visit more temples. So, and it's funny how you see like the contrast between European culture and Egyptian culture, because when you go to Europe, it's a lot of visiting cathedrals, whereas when you're visiting in Egypt, obviously you're going to be visiting the temples. You're going to be visiting a temple that was dedicated to the goddess Isis, the wife of Osiris and mother of Horus. Later in that day, take a peaceful ride in a felucca, which is a traditional Egyptian sailboat, which I am now thinking back to the movie. I had seen, there's some scenes with that, and it's just so intimate, and it's intimate, it's private, it's magnificent, it just feels so peaceful as well. Cap off the day with an optional late afternoon tea in the historic Old Cataract Hotel, which is a 19th century palace crafted in rose granite, and delight in an authentic high tea experience while you are watching or looking at amazing views of Aswan and the Elephantine Island. And there's even an optional outing to visit a light show at the Philae Temple. Day 8, you do still have some free time in Aswan, or you can do the Abu Simbel excursion, which clearly, since I'm so excited about that and having seen the Death on the Nile movie, I have to go to Abu Simbel. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site dedicated to Ramses II, one of the most active pharaohs, along with the smaller temple dedicated to his wife, Queen Nefertari. It was discovered half buried in sand in 1813. Yeah, I do remember that. Now that is an optional tour, so there is so much that is included with river cruising. But like I had mentioned in my last live recently, optional tours come at an additional cost, an additional price, which is totally worth it to be able to see something like Abu Simbel. And it really usually comes at a nominal fee, so I would say not to plan too much extra on top. It's not going to say the fee here to me, but if I ever find out, I will let you know. Let's see. You'll also be able to cruise the Great Temple of Kom where its soaring columns dramatically rise above the Nile River. This temple is dedicated to two gods, the crocodile god Sobek, sitting on the right, and the falcon-headed Hero. I'm so sorry. Hadoeris, who is quoted as the good doctor. After visiting, you'll get to board again, and then the ship continues on to Esna. While you are on board, The crew will be, and this is one of the things that I'm so excited about, the crew will be putting together a celebration of the local customs where you will be able to don a galabeya, which is traditional Egyptian attire, toast to the rich culture and history of the Nile River Valley. That is another cultural experience that I am so eager to have on the Nile River. So we're heading back up to the Luxor. There is some scenic sailing. You get to visit the Karnak Temple. And then it looks like you have also an afternoon of learning papyrus making. You get to discover the art of papyrus making with a museum visit and learn how the ancient Egyptians used this special plant that flourished in the Egyptian Delta and Nile River Valley. Made from the aquatic papyrus plant, also known as paper plant, this unique writing material served many purposes in ancient times, from sails, cloth, food, and especially paper for important documents and texts. All right, we're getting to day 10. I'm like, oh, there's so much to uncover here in the Nile River Valley. We are in Quina. Another temple visit, the Temple of Hathor, the goddess of love to whom the powers of joy, feminine love, and motherhood were attributed. The temple was built by Ptolemy and a group of Romans who worshipped her, so don't miss the back of the temple where there is a relief depicting Cleopatra with Caesarion, her son, by Julius Caesar. And then after your visit there, you will be heading back to the Luxor to Luxor. From Luxor, you're going to immediately depart, take a flight back to Cairo, and be taken to the Abdeen Presidential Palace, where you will be indulged in a private tour and lunch, and then later a city tour of Cairo, which amazing. I'm just so giddy. Who wants to come with me? Because I think I should plan a group trip myself of like-minded business owners, and we just go sailing on the Nile River. But so the river cruise has ended at this portion, as you can tell. You've flown back to Cairo from Luxor. And then in Cairo, you have a little bit of an extra day to visit the palace, do a tour, do a lunch, even visit the old city. And then finally, on what will be your day 12, you head back home, which is like the sad. I'm like, how does anything compare after having visited pyramids and these ancient temples where so many people were worshipped? It is like stepping back into history, and I cannot wait to experience it myself. Now, I know that some river cruises have a season. So like right now, we are in the middle of tulip time season. Tulip time season is from March to May, and that happens along the Amsterdam, Belgium waterways. So I think that Egypt is not year-round, even though it's kind of looking like it's year-round. There's some months that it looks like it takes off. So I don't know if that's just because of the research that's going on right now, or if that's just a normal thing, but it looks like throughout this year, if you are interested in going on an Egyptian river cruise, and you know what? Egyptian river cruises, the pricing looks actually really, really good to what the initial pricing was supposed to be. So right now there's a lot of starting prices that are about $5,500 a person. Now starting price really does mean that starting price means it's just like the starting entry point of the type of cabin that you'll have on board. So if you want something a little bit nicer, I would figure in at least $1,000 to $2,000 extra per person. So, and that does include the 3 nights pre-cruise that you spend in Cairo, the 7-night round trip cruise from Luxor, and then again the 1 night post cruise back in Cairo. And that does, I feel, include all of your flights in between, not the flights to get to Egypt, but the interconnecting flights. So it looks like there's a lot of availability, well, a lot of at least itinerary options for this year. And then next year, I'm just trying to see. Next year, it looks like they're going to be doing year-round. It looks like they take July and August off, which, I mean, if we're going to the desert in those times, it's probably a good thing that they take that time off. But yeah, it looks like it's a year-round itinerary with July and August off. What's included? Let's check that out because I know that's very important to everyone. And that for an 11-night itinerary for, I would say, maybe $7,000 to $8,000 a person, not including your flights. That is a really, really great value. So what's included in a Nile River cruise? Let me just check my time real quick. Okay, we're good on time. That includes your airport transfer in Cairo. That includes 3 nights at a Four Seasons in a partial Nile River view. That includes breakfast and complimentary Wi-Fi. So this is on your pre-cruise. Welcome receptions with tapas and drinks, your full day Cairo tours. You get to visit the ancient sites, including the pyramids of Giza, the Great Sphinx, the museums that we talked about, and then lunch at the historic Mina House Hotel, visiting at a synagogue, and then, okay, so this might not include flights, but that's okay. Yeah, it's looking like this might not include all those flights, which is okay. Because the interconnecting flights, I don't think would really be too dramatic, to be quite honest, like once we put everything together. Then once you're on your river cruise, obviously your accommodations aboard the beautiful Amadalia are included. All of your dining's included, including the specialty chef's table restaurant, wine, beers, and soft drinks during lunch and dinner, a sip and sail cocktail hour most nights, a welcome cocktail, welcome dinner, captain's cocktail and gala dinner, all your onboard entertainment. So that includes the belly dancing show, the Galabea party, and the Daroish show, guided tour shore excursions, exclusive visits to the tomb of Queen Nefertari and the Nubian village, use of any wellness on board, including the fitness room, sun deck, hair and nail salon, a massage room, the pool, complimentary Wi-Fi. And then when you get back, it does include your night at, again, the 5-star Four Seasons Cairo, with breakfast and Wi-Fi, and it does include your tour, your private tour of the Abdeen Presidential Palace with a special farewell lunch, as well as a transfer. So yes, it's looking like most of your things are included. The only things that you would also need to account for are your flights, so that's the flights to get to Egypt from wherever you're at, and then again the flights to move around, because we have to fly from Cairo to Luxor and then back from Luxor to Cairo. And I would say gratuities and then any extra spending money. Like, this is what I really love about river cruising, is that you don't have to worry about so many of the details because there's so much included in. Now, I mentioned extensions to this tour, and there are a couple of different options. And this really is one of the itineraries, if we're talking about river cruising, that has a lot of different options, and it just really is what you're interested in. I won't get into too many of the details, but you can do 3 nights in Dubai pre your cruise. For Jordan, I mentioned Jordan. You can do 4 nights pre-cruise in Jordan. And again, these can all be customized. So these are the packages direct with the River Cruise Line. But if you would want something custom made, that's something that I can assist you with. And we'll just piece everything together if you don't want anything that's included here. So 4 nights pre-Jordan. And then we're going to the post side. So there's a 3 night pre or post Dubai, a 4-night pre-Jordan, a 4-night post-Israel, and then there's a little bit of mixing and matching. There is a 3-night pre-Dubai and a 4-night post-Israel. And finally, there is a 4-night pre-Jordan and a 4 nights post-Israel. So you can take in a lot of being in this Middle Eastern region while you're there. And Of course, I would highly recommend that, but it all depends on your schedule, which is why I think this itinerary is really great for those that are laptop friendly, that they're not tied down to an office or a set schedule, that they can really work on their own schedule and get projects done, because Wi-Fi on board is chef's kiss. Is really high speed, so you don't have to worry about missing out on projects or any deadlines. There is obviously a lot of stuff that is included here, but if there's something that doesn't interest your fancy, like maybe you don't want to go to one of the museums one day, or you want to skip out on a temple day, that is really great time that you can just spend on board, because you're going to be catered to on board, and just knock out some work in between, like when lunch is happening, or in between when dinner is happening, or when a night excursion is happening. And the same thing can happen with these pre and these posts. Like Jordan, you have to go visit Petra if you go to Jordan. And then let's check out Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and a barbecue dinner, which I know in South Africa, and I'm not sure if they call this in Dubai, but a barbecue is called a braai. And then, just lots of different visiting. When you're in Israel, you're going to go to Jerusalem, the Dead Sea, Bethlehem. So if religion and like being able to visit major religious sites is really important, probably adding Israel. Maybe do a and that's why I love all these different options, is that you can do a little bit of Dubai in the beginning, and then you can do some Israel. But maybe you just want to create your own thing, and again, that's something that I would be able to create for you. The ship that sails there is, again, the beautiful Amadalia, max 72 passengers. So this is not your average cruise ship, and it is purpose-built for sailing through the Nile River. All right, I think we have ignited any passion for the Nile River sailing here, but let me know what questions you might have. What can I investigate a little bit more? What ideas do you have about going on this river sailing journey? It is so glorious, so beautiful, and I can't wait to one day experience it. And if you're waiting for that day to come and you would like to go with me and a group of other like-minded business owners, individuals, Latinas, Latinos, the Latina community, or the gluten-free community, there's so many communities that I am a part of, and that can be accommodated on a river sailing. So let me know. All right, that is it for me. I hope that you have enjoyed this kind of destination showcase of sailing on the Nile River. All right, bye. Thanks for joining me on the Cruise Retreat podcast. Please subscribe and leave the show a rating so more team and community leaders like yourself can get access to these episodes. See you next week.